Hey everybody, welcome back. This is KimComplete. First, I want to say this is a real bittersweet time for me, as I'm sure it is for most of you. Recently, my channel just hit 1,000 subscribers. And I owe that to all of you who enjoy my content, like my videos, share them with friends, and also, of course, subscribe. However, I realize that a contributing factor to this is this current pandemic that the entire world is facing at this time. I don't really like talking about it too much because I've been really focusing on my spiritual energies and keeping it positive, but it wouldn't be right to completely ignore the issue. Currently, I'm working full-time from home because of this time that we're in. However, I do understand that a lot of my viewers are not as lucky, and many of them have even lost their jobs due to all that's going on. Today I'm going to be going over my favorite top interview tips and how to get a job with little to no experience. This comes highly requested as this is a time where a lot of people are transitioning careers. If this video can help at least one person to start working remotely very soon, I will be ecstatic. However, it has been really hard for me to film while having both of my kids home and working from home full time, and it's just like a little chaotic, and you might even hear them in the background because trying to keep kids quiet during the day is nearly impossible. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of everything, can you do me a favor? Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Alright, jumping right in. What do you do to even get that first interview? First and foremost, you need to have a resume. So just go to docs.google.com and you can use their free software to go ahead and build yourself a resume. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, it just has to have the basic requirements. I'm not a professional resume writer, but I do follow these tips for making sure that it gets noticed. First, you want to include your name and at least 2 forms of contact in which a recruiter or future interviewer could reach you. I prefer going with a phone number and an email, but you can also include your LinkedIn profile, your fax number, beeper if you got it. You also want to include an objective at the top of your resume. I didn't have an objective line on my resume for many years, and I realized that it's actually really beneficial to helping you stand out. So what it does is just kind of reinforce your intentions and what type of position that you're looking for. And this helps to understand that this really is something that you're actively seeking out and you're not just applying to random jobs. It kind of connects the two. So it doesn't really do anything different than your resume would do or an application to a job. It just reinforces. Also, try to keep your resume to 1 page. If you need to go over a little bit for adding some extra experience or whatnot, definitely do not exceed 2 pages. You don't want to waste the paper, and the person who's looking at it most likely won't even see that second page. Most times your resume is going to be looked at as just another one in the pile. So you do want to do something to make it stand out, not necessarily printed on a hot pink paper, but you want to make it impressive immediately. So you want to hit it with your intentions, which you will with that objective line, and you want to hit them with your years of experience or your education. Then you want to go in chronological order going backwards for your work experience. So you want to show your most recent first because that usually will be the most applicable and will have the skills that you've most recently used, and that's really what an employer cares about. What can you do now? What have you been doing now? Next, once you have this resume, you want to make sure that you network. You want to use any and all connections that you can to get your resume out there and get yourself noticed by employers. So you can blast this on all the job boards that are out there like LinkedIn, Indeed, Dice.com, Snag-a-Job. There's so many resources out there. Just go to Google and type in online job board and you'll find something. Just put your resume out there. Just get it out. You also want to use any friends that you have or online like social groups or gatherings for job seekers. Just tell everybody what you're looking for, but again, keep it short and to the point or else people will forget. So tell them the position that you're looking for, the years of experience that you have doing that type of work, and also a way that they can contact you. So just keep it to those 3 things. Hi, I'm a web developer. I have 3 years of experience and you can reach me at this number. If you happen to gain the attention of a recruiter who often skims through these online job boards looking for applicants, it may seem really exhausting to do this a bunch of times over and over and over again, but you want to take any opportunity that presents itself to hop on a quick call so that they can find out more about you. This way they make a mental note of who you are. They might even jot it down at their desk, and they can help connect you with any openings that they know of with people that they're currently working with, or they can save your resume on hand for any things that come up in the future. And there's no hook or no catch to this. They get paid when they get you a job and you've worked there for, say, a month or 2. So their intention is to get you a job fast and get you as much money for that position as you can. All of my tech jobs that I've had to date, I've gotten through a recruiter. So it's definitely a valuable resource. Lastly, to get that interview, you want to make sure that you're following up. When you send an application, you may be one of 300 people to apply for that same job. And a lot of times employers are just so busy, they're not able to go through all of them. But another way that you can make yourself stand out is to wait about a week or, 4 to 5 days if you're feeling really anxious, but I'd say about a week, and then send them an email or follow up with a call and just say, hey, just checking on the status of my application, haven't heard anything, hope everything's going well, whatever. Don't just make yourself look, desperate, but let them know your intention is to see where you are in the process. And honestly, there are some employers who don't even call people who did not do a follow-up. So it's like a self-filtering system. So like I said, you may be 1 in 300 applicants for a job position. An employer may choose to just let all of those applications sit for about a week and then check back in and look at their inbox and see who has followed up on their application. And there may have been only 6 people to follow up. And those 6 people have told the employer that they're really interested and they're really eager to start soon. And they end up being the ones to get the interview. So once you get that first interview scheduled and on the books, here's how you ace it. You want to make sure that you are confident. You want to show the employer that you know that you are the best for this position. And a lot of times your nerves can get the best of you and it's really hard to keep that confidence up. But if you know that you will be well suited for this position, all you need to enhance your confidence a little bit is a trick called the Superwoman pose. I think it's actually the superhero pose, but I'm a feminist, so it's the Superwoman pose. So what you want to do is take your hands, ball them in fists, and put them on your waist, and you want to make sure you're standing really straight, tighten your core, and hold this pose for about a minute or so. It doesn't even take that much, and just keep telling yourself in your head your positive affirmations of, I know I'm right for the job, they will love me, I know what I'm talking about, whatever you have to say to hype yourself up. And this really will help you feeling amazing. It works for me, so why not? Why not try it? Some other specific things that you want to do to help boost your confidence is make sure that you're feeling friendly and happy. So you want to make sure you're smiling, you're sitting upright. When you greet them, you want to make sure you give them a firm handshake. Don't just have your hand all like floppy. Like a nice firm handshake that you're actually excited to be meeting them and you're like embracing them. You also want to slow your breathing. You may be like all worked up and excited, but just make sure that you're breathing slow, you're not talking too fast. If you have your arms crossed, try to be mentally aware if you're a person who does this a lot. I do this a lot, and it can be taken as like a defense mechanism, like, oh, you're kind of reverting into your shell a bit. So just make sure that your arms are uncrossed, your legs are uncrossed, flat on the floor, you're not tapping, and just be in a very zen state of mind. And one specific thing that I think that you should keep in your head when you're going to your interview, when you're in it, and even when you're leaving, that I'm just going to present my most authentic self. So if I don't get this job, that's okay. I don't want it anyways because they don't accept me for me. And if I do get this job, then I know that this company fully believes in me, who is amazing and worthy. Now that you've got your confidence down, you want to make sure that you're prepared for this interview. If you're not prepared, you can go in there confident and have nothing to say. Something you can do beforehand is to practice common interview questions like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What's the difference between HTML and CSS? You also want to be physically prepared, so you should always have your laptop with you if you're able to have it, 2 extra hard copies of your resume, a pen, chapstick, water if you can. You'd be surprised how many places don't have water fountains. And your mouth can dry out when you're talking a lot or you're nervous. Just a tip. You also want to look put together. So this isn't a fashion show, but you definitely want the way that you present yourself to indicate to the employer how you will present your work. So if you're someone who is very detail oriented, you want to make sure that you don't have one earring on, one earring off, that your buttons aren't misaligned on your shirt, and you're not, someone like in the movies who has a piece of spinach in their teeth. Like if you're detail oriented in your work, make sure that you have put in that work in yourself first, and that will carry through to your intentions if you get this job. Also, if you want to bring creativity to your position, then you want to look a little creative. So wear bright, bold colors, maybe some funky glasses, or like a blazer that you made yourself and you DIY'd it and you're super proud of it and it looks good and professional, of course. And that could be a conversation starter or something you could just brag about, something to really help yourself stand out in the interview and keep you fresh in their minds. Part of being prepared is providing examples. So don't just talk the talk, but show them what you can do. And this is either physically, and you can do this physically with a website of your portfolio that you can show them, or you can print out pages of your website so that you can show them, if that would be easier to have something tangible. Or if you don't have any of that, you could just provide them stories of a time when. So you can present a challenge that you faced in either your life or a professional setting and how you approached that problem, then how you solved it. Really, the point of an interview is just to convince them. So it's not just a series of answers and questions like, are you a good worker? Yes. Will you be here on time? Probably. That's not how interviewing really should be. It should be building a relationship and a rapport with your future employer. So anything that you can do to get a little personal, talk a little more, brag about yourself, that's really what you want to do. One of my top tips is to make sure that you arrive 15 minutes early. This is not optional. This is not like a nice to have thing. Definitely think of it as a requirement. You need to give yourself that 15-minute of leeway. This will give you a cushion if anything happens that's not according to plan. Like there's traffic, GPS took you the long way, the parking was really difficult to get to, you left your bag in the car, you helped an old lady across the street, you saw a bird fly into the building and you nursed it back to health. Anything could happen. And on the off chance that nothing gets in your way, something always gets in my way, always. But if you're so lucky and nothing gets in your way, then this means you have an extra 15 minutes before your interview to relax, collect your thoughts, go over your stories that you're gonna tell and ways that you're gonna impress them. You can go to the bathroom because that might be something you haven't done all morning and you won't really realize until you're in the middle of an interview and you can't really go and you're making this weird face and you're like stiff and you're giving off weird vibes. You can find a nice quiet place to do your superwoman pose. Or you can use this time to make new friends, say with the secretary or a person that's passing by and decided to strike up a conversation with you. This is huge because this actually might be a setup, and that person that you're talking to could be your future boss, coworker, or even the CEO of the company. And I mention this because all three have happened to me. On one occasion, I fucked it up. I did. I was a little too sarcastic and I didn't really want to entertain the conversation, was trying to drive that person away. Turns out that was the director for the department that my position would be in. But all the other times I aced it and I actually ended up getting those jobs. So just be extra friendly and nice and positive energies all the way to everyone that you come across, no matter what. My next tip, now that you're confident and prepared, is you want to make sure that you're putting out positive energies. This may seem a little hippie, but it's really important because if you seem nervous or you seem unsure and you're putting these doubtful energies out, what you're doing is you're just sending them to your future employer. And they're going to feel all of that coming off of you and they're gonna say, I don't know, I had a weird feeling about this applicant. They don't really seem like they're interested or they know what they're talking about. So what you wanna always do is just reassure them. You wanna send out positivity, like, I am the right applicant, here is why, I'm happy, I'll make you happy, give me a paycheck. Anything that you talk about, make sure that you put a positive spin on it. You may be asked questions where you have to reference something that happened at a previous job of yours, and that's fine to go back and like highlight something that you want to brag about yourself, but don't ease into that trap of bashing a previous employer. So if you're telling a time when something went wrong, you can't just be like, oh, nobody else did anything. I was the only one who solved the issue and my boss didn't even recognize me for it, but that's okay because I left anyways because he had a bad attitude. So you don't want to use an opportunity to brag about yourself to also bash the coworkers or the job that you were at. That's not a good look. So the whole point of this section is to really manifest the type of energy and environment that you want in this new position that you're applying for. You don't want to be somewhere negative, so don't put out negativity. You want to be somewhere that's good for your mental and physical health. So while you're in this interview, it's not just about you impressing them, it's also them impressing you. While you're giving out all this positivity, sense what they are giving to you. If they're giving you weird looks or weird faces, make sure you recognize that. If they're not smiling and laughing along with you, make sure you take note of that. There have been 2 occasions where I got weird negative vibes from someone who was interviewing me, and I got offered the position and I accepted because I just wanted to get the hell out of wherever I was at the time. And then I quickly ended up regretting accepting it. I woke up every day and I hated where I was. I hated the people that I was around. I hated the way they made me feel. I came home and I was still tired. I wasn't even there anymore and I was just in a bad mood. And if I had just recognized the feelings that I was getting during that interview, I would have understood they're not the right fit for me. Because it's not just you trying to impress them. They have to impress you too. They have to be worthy of your time and energy because it is precious. If you make a bad judgment call during this process, you're just gonna find yourself back job hunting in a month or 2. So really take this time and think of it as the last interview that you want to have to do. All right, next, while you're in the interview and you're doing your thing, make sure that you know your stuff. So while you're prepping, don't just memorize jargon. You want to actually have knowledge and experience on this topic so that it's not like I said, just question and answer. What is HTML? What is CSS? You want to be able to have a conversation with them if it comes about. A lot of times an interviewer will extend or elaborate on to what you've said. So if you say, oh yes, CSS is about making a site look pretty, the interviewer might be like, oh yeah, I love to do that. That's my favorite part of coding is the CSS. What do you like to do with CSS? And you're just like, ugh. Because you haven't really thought that far into what you like about what you do. You haven't done it enough to be knowledgeable on the nuances and whatnot. So you won't be able to come back and say, this specific thing is what I like because blah, blah, blah. Because you weren't ready for that answer. But if you really know what you're talking about, you're gonna be ready for whatever they throw at you. And part of making sure you know your stuff is researching the company that you're applying for. So if you know nothing about what this company does, then you probably shouldn't be working there. It might just be something that you're not interested in, or it could be a cause that you don't support, or something that they can ask you about during the interview and make you look dumb. One of my first interviews I ever went on was for an apartment complex because I heard that employees get 50% off of their rent and I was looking to move out on my own. So I thought, great, if I worked here, then I can get half off the apartment. So I just applied and I got the interview, and while I was in there, they said, so tell me something about our company. And I was like, thinking in my head, I don't know anything about this company. I know that you have apartments and I want one. So I ended up trying to BS my way out of it. And I was like, yeah, I read online that you have somewhere like 100 properties around the DC metro area, and that's really impressive. So it seems like, you know, business is going well, and I think this would be a great opportunity for me. And I thought I killed it. So then the interviewer turned around and said, actually, we have over 1,000 properties, not in the DC area. We're mostly out in Texas and we just have a few here in Maryland. So I really screwed myself with that one. I did not get a offer on that. But it just goes to show I didn't really know about that company anyways, and I probably didn't need to be there. I was just being a little greedy. And my last tip on how to ace that interview, after you've already been so charming and knowledgeable and worthy and you deserve that job, you want to make sure that you follow up again. Just like with your resume, you're not going to be the only one doing what you're doing. But something that can help you stand out is being the only one to come back again and say, hey, I'm still here, I'm still interested, where am I in the process? Is there anything else that you need from me? Make sure that you're being available for them. Personally, I've gotten 2 of my jobs simply because I followed up on them. Because you don't really know what's going on that other end. They might have just forgotten. They might have wanted to give it to you on the spot and they're just not fully with it. And you gotta help them out a little bit. So those are my tips for making sure that you get an interview, and once you do, how you ace it. This also helps if you have little to no experience, because as long as you are able to achieve these points that I've hit in here, you can ace that interview. If you have no experience, but you know your stuff, go in there, show them that you can do the job that's being asked of you and impress them, and you should have nothing to worry about. Once you make it to that interview point, they're already interested in you and they already believe that you can do it, these things. So all you have to do is just seal the deal. And that concludes my video. I hope that you found value from this content, and I hope that this helps you get a job in the very near future, even working remote, which is a whole other thing. I'll probably make a video on that, how to work remote. But if you found this helpful, please let me know in the comments down below. Also check out the description bar for a list of the links that I have found most helpful in my journey, and I hope that it can help you too. Bye! So I'm just gonna go ahead and insert an embarrassing TikTok of me late at night before going to bed and no makeup or anything. But it has something to do with interviewing, so you guys might enjoy it. If not, just skip ahead 30 seconds. Okay, thanks.
Okay, tell me why you think we should hire you for the position.
Cause y'all called me, so that seemed like y'all thirsty. I didn't call y'all, y'all called me. And plus y'all said y'all was hiring. You sound dumb. You don't remember? Y'all put a sign up there saying we're hiring. That's why.
Okay, for the available date to start work, I see you put ASAP.
Well, I don't want y'all to call me this weekend because I'm going to a party. So it could be like not Monday because I'm still trying to get over getting drunk for the weekend. So probably like Tuesday or Wednesday. And don't call me in the morning time. Call me like at nighttime and stuff. Because I don't like answering my phone. I'll snap on you if you call me early. I'll go off on you. I'll cuss you out.
Okay, are you available to work the weekends?